Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Te Kore O Akya Guru Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Te Kore O Akya Ana kore ho mane asa Ana kore ho mane asa Guru Charane Rati Ese Uttama Gati Che prasade pure salva sa Che prasade pure salva sa Chatsudana diloye Yame yame Prabhu se Chatsudana diloye Yame yame Prabhu se Divya Pride Prokasito Divya Pride Prokasito Prema Bhakti Yaha Hoite Avya Vinasayate Prema Bhakti Yaha Hoite Avya Vinasayate Pedegai Yara Charito Pedegai Yara Charito Sri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adamaya Narabandhu Sri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adamaya Narabandhu Lokana Lokera Jivana Lokana Lokera Jivana Ha Prabhu Korodoya Dehamode Parachayo Ha Prabhu Korodoya Dehamode Parachayo Eveya Gosu Tribhuvana Eveya Gosu Tribhuvana Prabhupada Loiro Charana Prabhupada Patita Pavana Prabhupada Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya, Jaya. Jaya, Prabhupada, Jaya, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila, Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Nama Bhutale Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Sunjavari Pachatya Desatarine Namaste Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaur Bhatta Vrinda Jaya Sri Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Srivasadi Gaur Bhatta Vrinda Jaya Shri Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Srivasadi Gaur Bhatta Vrinda Jaya Sri Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hey! Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hey!
Wake up.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hey! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Haribo, 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 Nitayo, Haribo. Nitayo, Haribo, 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 Haribo. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada.
Shri Shimaresi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajakacharya Stotarstu Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Mayapur Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Nuramanreti Dham ki jai. Tulasi Maharani ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Yamuna Mai ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Nitai Go Premanande Hari Hari Bo Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Sri Guru Gauram.
Shri Shri Radhesham ki jai. So this is Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 text number 13. Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. Krishna said. The whole world is enchanted by three modes of material nature. Those who are bewildered by these three modes cannot understand that transcendental to this material world is the Supreme Lord Krishna. Every living entity under the influence of material nature has a particular type of body and a particular type of psychological and biological activities accordingly. There are four classes of men functioning in the three material modes of nature. Those who are purely in the mode of goodness are called Brahmanas. Those who are purely in the mode of passion are called Kshatriyas. Those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance are called Vaishyas. Those who are completely in ignorance are called Shudras. And those who are less than that are animals or animal life. However, these designations are not permanent. I may either be a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or whatever. In any case, this life is temporary. But although life is temporary and we do not know what we are going to be in the next life, by the spell of this illusory energy, we consider ourselves in terms of this bodily conception of life. And we thus think that we are American, Indian, Russian, or Brahmin, Hindu, Muslim, etc. And if we become entangled with the modes of material nature, then we forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is behind all these modes. So Lord Krishna says that living entities deluded by these three modes of nature do not understand that behind the material background is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many different kinds of living entities, human beings, demigods, animals, etc. And each and every one of them is under the influence of material nature and all of them have forgotten the transcendent personality of Godhead. Those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance, and even those who are in the mode of goodness, cannot go beyond the impersonal Brahman conception of the Absolute Truth. They are bewildered before the Supreme Lord in His personal feature, which possesses all beauty, opulence, knowledge, strength, fame, and renunciation. When even those who are in goodness cannot understand, what hope is there for those in passion and ignorance? Krishna consciousness is transcendental to all these three modes of material nature, and those who are truly established in Krishna consciousness are actually liberated. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, just like to remind everybody that at 3 p.m. today we'll have the memorial ceremony for Jad Bharat Prabhu, who passed away a couple of weeks ago. A big feast is planned, so please participate. And if you have some recollections or memory of Jad Bharat Prabhu, please come and you can get a chance to speak also. 4:15 RT, Tamohar Prabhu will be giving the lecture today. And this morning we'll have Karnapur Prabhu lead the class. First he will play a tape or a recording of Srila Prabhupada class, and then there will be a little discussion afterwards and also a little quiz. Here are the devotees who have assisted their Guru in dressing the deities today. Shri Shri Radhesham were addressed by Nitai Priya Devi Dasi, Chota Radhesham by Satsi Sundari Devi Dasi, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram, Mantrini Devi Dasi, Chota Krishna Balaram, Madhuri Gopi Devi Dasi, Draupadi, Shri Shri Gaurnitai, Draupadi Devi Dasi, Chota Gaurnitai, Gandharvika Devi Dasi, the Gurus and Lord Nrsingadev by the only Das, Krishna Kripa Moy Das.
Hare Krishna. So this morning's, because the class is going to last a little bit longer, we're going to cut short the first part of it a little bit and start with Prabhupada giving the lecture after Jai Radha Madhava. Okay, let's start with the Jai Radha Madhava. Haribol, I don't have sound. I don't have sound.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Bradajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bradajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Paramansa Paribhajagacharya Sattvaresvara Smadhakti Vedanta Saraswati Goswami Bhagavati Jaya Anantapuri Vaishnava Ki Jaya Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jaya Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jaya Sri Sri Radha Krishna Mokh Gopinath Sam Khand Radha Khand Giridhar Ki Jaya Vrindavan Dham Ki Jaya Navadvip Dham Ki Jaya Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Guru Dwarka Dham Ki Jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, all glories to Jasmine. All glories to Jasmine. Thank you very much.
All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. All glories to you, Prabhupada.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Is a class on the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, text number 8, given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, recorded on April 22nd, 1974, in Bombay, India.
Dharma svanushtita punsa Vishvaksena kathasuya Upadayat yadi ratim Shrama eva hi kevalam. We'll go on to the synonyms. Actually, we'll skip the synonyms to save a little more time, and we'll go right to the occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provide attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead.
Dharmasya anustitasya pungsha vishaksena katha sujat notpadayat jadi ratin samay vahike. Dharma, generally translated into English as religion, I have already explained several times. The dictionary meaning of religion is a kind of faith, but actually dharma means occupational duty or the characteristic. Just like a snake. The snake its religion is to bite and fatal bite. That is his dharma, occupational duty. Everything has got, just like this microphone, it must work, it must expand the sound. That is his dharma. If it does not expand the sound, it is useless. So everything you take, there are characteristics. That is the meaning of dharma. Dharma is not an artificial faith. Faith you can change, but your occupational duty you cannot change. So what is the occupational duty of the living entity? The living entity is now encased in two kinds of gross and subtle body. Therefore, when he is situated in a bodily concept of life, his dharma is fruitive activities or sense gratification. When he is situated on the mental platform, then his occupational duty becomes speculation, imagination. And when he is situated in his original spiritual platform, then his occupational duty is to serve Krishna. These are the three positions. Karma, Jnana, Yoga, Bhakti. Gradual evolution. Because spiritual knowledge also gradually evolves. Nirvishesh Brahma, Antarjami Paramatma, and Saraisarja Purna Bhagava. These are the different stages of self-realization or spiritual advancement. Karma, Jnana, Yoga and Bhakti. Yoga means Bhakti Yoga, or the preliminary, primary stage of Bhakti Yoga. Therefore in the Bhagavad Gita it is said, Yoginam api sarvesam madgata antaratmana sadhyaman bhajati juma sami yukta tamovat. There are different types of yogis. But the first class yogi is he who madgata antaratmana, Krishna says, who is thinking of me always. Madgatam, sadhyama, with veneration, love and faith, bhajati. Though to think of Krishna is also bhajan. There are different processes of bhajan. To hear of Krishna, that is also bhajan. Just like you are hearing. And to speak about Krishna, I am speaking. You are hearing. Similarly, when the speaking and hearing is finished, then you think of Krishna, or by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, you think of Krishna. Krishna being absolute, all these different processes are also the same, one and the same. There is no difference between chanting and hearing or remembering or worshipping in the temple. Savanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam. The temple worship is called Archan. Bandhanam, offering prayers. The Christians, the Mohammedans, they offer prayer. of course, not to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but impersonal feature or some idea. But that prayer is also one of the processes of bhakti. Anyone who accepts the supremacy of God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his process of worship has to be considered in the category of bhakti yoga. The more and more you become purified by executing the bhakti yoga process, then you come to the real platform that is stated here, that dharma sanasthita pumsa. It doesn't matter what kind of dharma. Actually dharma is one, the occupational duty, the characteristic. The characteristic means that God is great and we are subordinate. That is the injunction of the Vedas. Nitya nityana, chetana chetanana, eko jo bahunam vidadhati kama. We have to understand that singular number. God is singular, nitya, eternal, chetana, living entity. He is also nitya and living entity. But the chief, nitya nityana, chetana chetanana, and we are plural number, nityanam, chetananam. So, we are plural number, living entities, but he is singular number. Why? What is the difference between these two nityas and two chetanas? God is not dead stone. God is like you and me. He is a living entity, but the chief living entity, singular number. Just like we have got leader. There are many hundreds and thousands of followers, but there must be one leader. You follow any cult, you have to accept one leader. Either you follow this philosophy, that philosophy, it doesn't matter. But you have to follow a leader. But Krishna is the supreme leader, leader of the leaders. That is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Matta parataram nanyat kinchi sasti dhananjaya. Leaders there are, gods are there. God means controller. There is controller always. So there are many gods. Anyone is God because he is somehow or other he is a controller, leader of. But we are meaning the supreme leader, the supreme controller, that is Krishna. Leader you have to accept, but controller you have to accept. But nobody is supreme leader or supreme controller. That is Krishna. Every leader is also controlled by some other leader. But Krishna is such a leader that he is not controlled by any other leader. That is Krishna. Therefore Krishna says, Matta parataram nanyat. There is no more superiority. Ishara parava Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha, Anadi, Radhi, Govinda, Sarvakarana Karanam. That is the statement of the Vedic literature. The supreme controller, the supreme leader is Krishna. Sachidananda Vigraha. Krishna is not formless. When Krishna was present on this planet, he is not formless. He has his form. And what is that form? Sachit Ananda Vigraha. Anandamaya Rasa Vigraha. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. That is not this Vigraha. That we have to understand. Our Vigraha, our form, at the present moment, material form, that is not Satchidananda. Sat means eternal. Chit means full of knowledge. And Ananda means full of blissfulness. So, as soon as we think of one body, we think comparing our body. So similarly, by our foolishness, if we think of Krishna's body like one of us, then we become mudha. Avajananti manga mudha manasim tanuvas. Because Krishna comes in the human form, like a human being. Therefore, we should not take Krishna as one of us. Then we become mudha, rascal, fool. Or in other words, one who thinks of Krishna having a body like us, that is Mayavad philosophy. He is a mudha. Namang duskitanam mudha prapadanti naradhama. These are the statements of Bhagavad Gita. How you can misinterpret. This is plain thing, that symptom, namang duskitanam mudha prapadanti naradhama. These are the words used in the Bhagavad Gita. It is not our manufactured word. People may be very unhappy or angry. But we have to quote from these scriptures. These are anyone who does not surrender to Krishna. He is within these categories. What are they? First of all, duskritina. Duskritina means simply engaged in sinful activities. Kriti means meritorious. But duskriti, badly meritorious. They are using their brain for something atrocious, simply planning how to do harm to others. That is called duskriti. For his own sense satisfaction, he is planning. That is called osura. Asuri bhavamasi. Osuras, they are simply planning for his own sense gratification. And devotees, they are simply planning how to satisfy Krishna's senses. That is the difference. How Krishna will be satisfied. Both of them are planning. But one is planning for his own sense satisfaction, and the other is planning how to satisfy the senses of Krishna. This is the difference between Asura and Deva. There are two classes of men, Deva and Asura. Do bhutasargo loki daiva asura evacha. Asurastad viparja. Vishnu bhakta bhave daiva. Asurastad viparja. Those who are devotees of the Lord, servants of the Lord, they are called Deva or demigods. Asuras tad viparya. And the Asuras are just opposite. Just like Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad, the father and son. Prahlad is Deva because he is devotee of Krishna, and Hiranyakashipu, because Prahlad is devotee of Krishna, he is trying to always tease him, although he is a 5-year-old boy, his son, very beloved son. But since he became Krishna conscious, he became the enemy of the Asura, Hiranyakashipu. This process is existing from very, very time immemorial, two classes. Therefore, to become devotee is sometimes very troublesome, because even the father becomes enemy. This is the position of the devotee. But still you have to become a devotee, that is your success of life. But the warning is there, that as soon as you become a devotee, you become enemies of so many, especially nowadays. You know that recently I was refused entrance in Athens. The government did not allow me to enter. What is my fault? Because I am a devotee. This is my fault. So we are meeting so many dangerous positions. In Bombay, our temple construction has been refused by the Commissioner of Police. Why? Because we chant Hare Krishna. They have openly written that the bhajan nuisance. You see, this is our position. Bhajan, Krishna says, Bhagavan says, that Chaturvida bhajante ma. This bhajan word is there. Four kinds of people can be engaged into bhajan. Who are they? Sukriti Arjuna, whose background is very, very pious activities. Now, at present, bhajan is nuisance. Bhajan is stated in the Vedic scripture that it is performed by the pious men. And now, at the present circumstances, bhajan is nuisance. Satatam kirtantam mam jatantasya durabhrata. These are the statements of Vedic scripture. Who is Mahatma? Mahatmanastamam krashta daivi prakriti vasa. Satatam kirtantam mam jatantasya durabhrata. These are Mahatmas. Nitya yuktu upasati. But at the present moment, not at the present moment, from time immemorial, this is going on. As soon as you become devotee, as soon as you are inclined to take part in bhajan, you will have so many enemies. Therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended that you tolerate. Still you cannot give up your bhajan and Krishna consciousness. That is not possible. Tolerate. Trinadupi, what is the process of toleration? Yes. Trinadupi sunichena, tarorapi sahisnuna, amanina manadena, kirtaniya sada. So this Krishna consciousness movement, we are teaching to become Sukritino, to make his life successful by understanding Krishna. That is this verse explains. Dharma sanasita pungsang vishaksina kathasuja. Please take the child. So, this formula is that you may execute your occupational duties first class, as it is prescribed, very nicely, regularly, faithfully. You are discharging your occupational duty. But if it does not awaken your dormant Krishna consciousness, then it is useless. Srama eva hi keval. Because the human life is meant for awakening Krishna consciousness. our consciousness is now polluted. Just like the rainwater, as soon as it falls down on the ground, it becomes muddy. Otherwise, the rainwater is distilled water, very nice, clear, crystal water. But as soon as it touches the ground, it becomes dirty immediately. Similarly, originally we are all Krishna conscious, because you are part and parcel of Krishna. Mamaivaamsa jiva bhuta. Krishna says, all these living entities, they are my part and parcel. Just like the son is the part and parcel of the father, for crude understanding. So we are also similarly part and parcel of Krishna. Mamaivaamsa jiva bhuta. Jiva loka sanatana. Manasasthani indriyani prakitisthani karsati. As soon as it comes in touch with this material world, it is contaminated. The same example, there's the rainwater falling from the sky, is crystal clear distilled water. But as soon as it comes in touch with the ground, it becomes muddy, dirty. So, at the present moment, our consciousness is dirty. Abhadra. It is stated in Bhagavad in one place. Sinnatan sakata Krishna punna savana kirtana riddantasta abhadrani. Abhadrani. The dirty things within the heart. Riddantasta. Within the heart. We have got so many dirty things within the heart. Now how it has grown due to our contact with this material nature. This is our disease. In another place in the Bhagavad Gita it is said, Karanam gunasangasya sadasad janmajonishu. Sad asad means nice body or very abominable body. You may get a very nice body, learned, scholar, beautiful, very aristocratic, or you may take the body of the worm of his stool. You have to change your body, and there are 8,400,000 different forms of body. So, why one has taken the body of the worm of stool, and why one has taken the body of Lord Brahma or Indra, Chandra, Varuna, or rich man, very nice man, beautiful man? Why? Why these differences of body? Because the karanam gunasangasya, as you are associating with the modes of material nature, Satagun, Rajagun, Tamagun. There are three gunas. Satagun, if you associate with Satagun, then urdham gachanti sattvastva. If you remain in Satagun, Satagun means Brahmanical qualification. Satta, sama, dhamma, titikha, arjava, jnanam, vijnanam, astikam, brahma karma sabha. If you remain on the platform of Brahminical qualification, that is called Satagun. And less than that, Sujjati, Balam, Riddhi, Palayam, Khatriya qualification, that is modes of passion. And others remaining there in the modes of ignorance. Do not know what is the value of life, what is next life, what is spiritual realization, why you are suffering, nothing, no knowledge. That is tama. So, urdham gachanti sattvastva madhye tishtanti rajasa jaghanna gunavrittistha adho gachanti tamasa. This is our position. Therefore, there is dharma. In the civilized human society, That is dharma. Either you take it as characteristic or faith, but a civilized nation has a kind of dharma, has a Christian dharma, Hindu dharma, Mohammedan dharma, anyone. Dharma means some relationship with God. That is dharma. Dharmantu sakshat bhagavat pranit. That is another definition of dharma. Dharma means to abide by the laws of God. So, everyone is trying to abide by the laws. Mamo vartmanu vartanti manusya sarva part. Sarvasu part. That is also stated in the word. Everyone is trying to approach. Here the ultimate injunction is that dharma sanasya tattvamsa vishaksena kathasu. Vishaksena is another name of Krishna. So, by executing the process of dharma, if one does not come to the point of understanding Vishakshen or Krishna, then what is that? Nutpadayat rating judi. Rati means attachment. Attachment. If one is not inclined to hear about Krishna, after executing his dharma, occupational duty, whatever it may be, actually occupational duty is meant according to Vedic civilization, Brahman, Kshatri, Vaishya, Shudra. Brahman has got his occupational duty, Kshatri has got his occupational duty, Vaishya has got his occupational duty, and Shudra also occupational duty. So, when it is described, dharma sanushtutasya, sa means own. So, one must be either a Brahman or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra. Or nowadays, one may be a medical man, an engineer, or a businessman, or this or that. Everyone has got some occupational duty. Either you take this way or that way. But it is very systematic. When we think of, in terms of Vedic civilization, the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, this is very scientific. Because a class of men, very intelligent, very pure, ideal class of men, Brahmana must be there. That is Vedic civilization. People will see and learn. Because ultimately human life is meant for elevating to the standard of spiritual consciousness. Athato Brahma Jignasa. So unless in the society there is an ideal class of men, Brahmana, how people will learn it? That is necessary. You cannot say, let us all become technology Sudras. That you can get money for purchasing wine and meat. But the ideal life is lost. Ideal life is lost. There must be. Just like if you want to keep your body fit for everything, there must be brain. If you say that there is no need of brain, we simply want legs. What is this body? The dead body. There must be the head, there must be the hand, there must be the belly, and there must be the leg. The Brahmana is the head of the society, brain of the society. And the Kshatriyas are the arms of the body. And the Vaishyas, the belly of the body. The stomach and the belly must be kept in order. If you do not eat, if you do not digest your food, the brain will not also work, hand will not also work. So, for proper upkeep of the human society, there must be the Brahminical class, Brahmana class, the Kshatriya class. They are all equal because My hand is as much important as my brain. But although comparatively, my brain is more important than my hand. That is comparative. But you require the brain. So, at the present moment, why the society is chaotic condition? Because there is no Brahman. That is the defect. So, society must be divided in the material state of this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. And gradually, everyone should be educated to become Brahman. Athata Brahma Jigyana, Brahma Bhuta. Then he will understand what is bhakti. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Nasochati Nakankati Samas Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhakti Lavate Para. And when you attain to the stage of bhakti, then your life is successful. This is the process. Therefore it is said that you may go on with your so-called occupational duties, but if you do not come to the platform of spiritual understanding, then it is sramaiva hi kevalam. It is simply waste of time. It is simply waste of time. Because you do not catch up the ideal of your mission, simply work like the animals and die. Dharma sangya, the bodily concept, jasyato buddhi kunapi siddhatri, simply thinking that I am this body and my only business is to satisfy the senses of the body. Not only my body, but my son's body, my grandson's body, my relative's body. This is going on under different names. Socialism, thisism, thatism, expanded bodily concept of life. This is animal civilization. Jasyata buddhi kunapeti dhatuke, because the animal also doing that. A cat is thinking that I am this body. I must secure my food anywhere. A mouse, anywhere. The dog is also thinking like that. If human beings also think like that, then what is the difference between cats and dogs? He may be very much proud that I am discharging my duties very faithfully. But here Bhagavad says, Dharmasthana-sthita pumsa vishakshena kathati nutpadayadas. If you do not develop your Krishna consciousness, you are simply wasting your time. This is the part. Dharmasthana-sthita pumsa vishakshena kathati nutpadayadas thingadi samayeva ikeva. So, our Krishna consciousness movement is simply trying to educate people that don't waste your time. You have got this human form of life. Luckily, after many births, Bhunam Sammavanti, after many evolutions, so don't waste your time. Just try to awaken your dormant Krishna consciousness. The Krishna consciousness is there within you. Simply you have to awaken. And what is the process? That awakening will take place simply by chanting and hearing. Savanadi Shuddha Chitte Karoi Uda. There is a verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Nitya Siddha Krishna Bhakti, Sadha Pahu No. Krishna Bhakti, your devotion for Krishna, your attachment for Krishna is there because you are part and parcel of Krishna. And the process is very simple. Process is very simple. We are recommending the followers of Krishna consciousness. Just now I received one letter from Jaipur. They wanted my guidance. The guidance is not very difficult. It is very simple thing. First of all, try to become sinless. No illicit sex life, no intoxication, no meat eating, no gambling. Observe this four regulative principles and chant Hare Krishna mantra as far as possible, at least 16 now. Then see how your life changes. Thank you very much. Hare.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, now the fun part. Actually, I'd like to start out this portion with a little different venue. I'd like to get one by one everybody's main point that they got out of the class. You know, one thing they could say that they really remembered from the class that somehow they remember. Yes. Okay. You don't follow Krishna consciousness, you're wasting your time. Very good. Thank you very much. Janmashtami?
I got that point, but also the way to awaken
The way to awaken Krishna consciousness through hearing and chanting. Okay. Yes, when we do things just for our own sense gratification, that's Maya, and but when we do things for Krishna's satisfaction, then we become liberated.
So every nation has its own dharma. It can be Mohammedan or Christian, but the purpose is to develop God consciousness in that civilization.
To develop God consciousness. You want to say something? Okay. Mataji? Human life is meant for Krishna consciousness. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you. So you better remember which verse this was. 128. Thank you. 128. And what was the main point of this verse? Yeah. Okay, if you don't do it for Krishna, it's a waste of time. Did you remember what the very first things Prabhupada said after chanting the verse? What he first talked about? Yes. Dharma, yes. What did he say about Dharma?
Well, first he said it was meant to be religion, but then he went a little deeper and he said it's
Yes, that the West commonly translate Dharma as being religion into English, but it's a lot more than that. It's not just a kind of faith, which is what the dictionary meaning is, but it's actually the occupational duty. And he gives an example of a living entity. Yes. Yes, the snake's religion is to bite. What kind of bite? A fatal bite. Yes, a little hard to understand that word when he said it, but a fatal bite. And he gives another example of another object. And I'm using it right now. Yes. Yes. It must expand the sound. That is its dharma. Okay. And then he gave several kinds of dharma for the human being. What kind of dharmas? Not just one kind of dharma, but that's later. Here is yes, he talks about one who's situated on the bodily concept of life, on what his dharma is, which is what? Sense gratification, fruitive activities, yes, exactly. And then one situated on which platform? Mental, very good. And his dharma is? Speculation and? Imagination. Yes. And then, of course, the one situated on the spiritual platform, and his duty is? To serve Krishna, yes. Okay, so then he talks about karma, gyan, yoga, bhakti. And then he says yoga means something in particular. Bhakti yoga, yes. Yoga means bhakti yoga, not just, breathing and asanas. Then he gives a quote from the Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter. Which verse is that? Yes, 647. Yogi namapi sarvesham. Very good. Okay, then he talks about thinking of Krishna. What does he say about thinking of Krishna? That is also a type of? It is bhajan. Yes, it's also a type of bhajan. So there are different processes of bhajan. And he talks about some of them. Yes, exactly. Hearing, chanting, remembering. Yes. So Krishna is absolute, so they're all just as effective. No difference. And he gives a quote from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto. Yes, exactly. Do you know which verse that is? 7:5:23. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. That's that verse. Okay. And then he says, temple worship is called what? Which process? Archanam. Very good. And Vandanam is offering prayers. Okay. Then he gives an example of two religious sects or people that offer prayers. Yes, Christians and Muslims. And what does he say about them? Yes. Yeah, they're not praying to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but to the impersonal feature. And then he mentions what type of people should be considered in the category of Bhakti Yoga. One who accepts something. That Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then he's in the category of Bhakti Yoga. Then he talks about what is the characteristic of Dharma, what it means, that God is something and we are something. God is great and we are subordinate. Yes, very good. And that is the injunction of the Vedas. Then he gives a quote from the Kathopanishad. Yes, very good. Any idea which verse that is? 2:13. Nityo nityananam chaitanas chaitananam. We have to understand the singular number. Then he talks something about, leaders and followers. What does he say about that? Yes. Yes. There can be millions of followers, but there must be one leader. Either you follow this philosophy or that philosophy, it doesn't matter, but you have to follow a leader. And he gives a quote from the Brahma Samhita relating to the leader. Yes? Very good, that's the one. Any idea which verse that is? 1. 5:1. Yes. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. Then he describes people who are foolish and they think of Krishna's body like one of us. And what do they become? Mudha. And then he gives a quote from the Bhagavad Gita. Very good. Avajananti mam mudha. Which verse is that? 9:11. Yeah, 9:11. Very good. Okay. And he gives another quote from the Bhagavad Gita about mudha. Namam duskrito mudha prapadyante naradana. Any idea which verse that is? 7:15. So, describing more of the characteristics of the mudha. And then he says, Prabhupada tries to qualify his statement so people don't think that he's manufacturing this. What does he say that? Yes, these are Krishna's words from the Bhagavad Gita. And he said people may be very something about him saying these things. Angry and unhappy, yes, they may become angry and unhappy. But we have to quote from these scriptures. Anyone who does not surrender to Krishna, he is within these categories. What are they? What are the categories he mentions? Duskritina. What does he say about Duskritina? He breaks it down. Meritorious. Yes. So he says badly meritorious. They're using their brain for something. What word did he use there? Atrocious. Something atrocious, yes. Simply planning how to do what? Harm to others. Not just sense gratification, but harm. That is called duskritina. So who are the ones planning for their own sense gratification? The asuras. So that's the definition he gives for the asuras. And the devotees, what are they doing? Yes, simply planning how to satisfy Krishna's senses. That is the difference. Then he says something about what might happen when you become a devotee. Yes. And sometimes things may become very troublesome. As we all know, for those who have done any Sankirtan. Then he gives an example of who met some troublesome by becoming a devotee. Is someone who got put into trouble by becoming a devotee. Prahlad, yes, from his father. Yes. And he gave an example about nowadays, something that happened nowadays to him. That's a little bit later. Something happened to him because he was a devotee. Yeah, it was hard to say. Here, Africa. What else? He was refused entrance in Africa. Why? What was his fault? He was a devotee. Then he gave another example. Something that happened in India. In Bombay. What happened in Bombay? Yes, about building the temple. From the police. Commissioner of police refused them permission to construct the temple. And why did what was the basis of his refusal? Bhajan. Because they were chanting Hare Krishna. Yes, that's the nuisance. The bhajan nuisance. Okay. And what is What does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommend about what we do about these nuisances? Yes, and the one word translation of that? Tolerate, yes, we must tolerate that. You tolerate. You cannot give up your bhajan and Krishna consciousness. That is not possible. Tolerate. And then he quotes that verse. You know where that verse is from? Yes. Then he gives an example about our consciousness, our original consciousness, and yes. A little bit, just a little bit. There you go, that's what I was looking for. It's just like the rainwater, that it's pure, and yes, and when it hits the ground, it is muddy. Yes, so our consciousness is like that. When what happens? When does our consciousness become muddy? Yes, contact with the material world. Okay. Then he gives a quote from the Bhagavad Gita. Very good. Yes. Mamaivamso jivaloke. Which verse is that? 15:7. And he talks about the different modes, Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. And then he gets down, he talks a little bit about the classes of men, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Brahmanas. And then he talks about the modes of ignorance. How does he elaborate on what the mode of ignorance is, or what their perception of things is? Later on, they do not know something. What don't they know? That's definitely part of the, yes. More specifically, he says they do not know what is the value of life, and that's right, what is next life? Yes. And what is spiritual realization? And why are we suffering? Why are we suffering? No knowledge. That's tamagun. And he gives a quote from the Bhagavad Gita. Urdvam. Which verse is that? 14:18. Urdvam gachanti sattvasta. Okay. So then he says that there's something different that the civilized human society has, a characteristic. Yes, they have dharma. Very good. So then he says it can either be Christian dharma or Hindu dharma or which one? Mohammedan dharma. Dharma means some relationship with God. Yes, that is dharma. Then he gives another definition of dharma along the same lines, but it means to abide by the laws of God. So anyone who's trying to abide by the laws, who's trying to approach, then he's considered to be following his Dharma. And then he talks about if by executing the process of Dharma that he's following, if something doesn't happen, then what? If one does not come to the point of understanding Vishvaksena, yes. If one is not inclined to hear about Krishna after executing his Dharma, let's see, and then he elaborates a little more about the different Brahman, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras. Then he talks about what the people might say about what they should be doing with their time. What is their ploy, their proposition? Let us all become. What are they all after? What is India after from the West? Technology. Let us become technologists. Sudras. That you can get money for doing what? They get money, what will they do with it? They purchase something in particular. Yes, wine and meat. That's what they'll do. But then what happens if they do that? The ideal of life is lost. Yes. Then he gives an example about the body. What does he say about the body? Yes. So there may be a proposition. There is no need of brain. We simply want what? Legs. Yes, we simply want legs. And what do you end up if you do that? Dead body. Body without a head? Dead body. There must be head. And hands, and belly, and legs. And he goes and talks about the Vaishyas, the belly of the body. What does he say about elaborating on the belly? He says, if you do not eat, if you do not digest your food, then what will happen? The brain won't work. Yes. And what else won't work? Everything else. Specifically mentions the hands, but obviously. Then he goes back and then he emphasizes the importance of all the parts. It's not that you can have one without the other, but the hand is as important as the brain. Comparatively speaking, the brain is a little more important, obviously, but all are necessary to properly execute one's duties. Then he asks, why is society in chaotic condition? Yes, no Brahmana. That is the defect. And he gives a quote from the Bhagavad Gita, beginning with Brahma. 1854? Yes, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. Okay. And when you attain the stage of bhakti, your life is successful. That is progress. Okay. And that if you go on with your so-called occupational duties and you do not come to the platform of spiritual understanding, then Shrama eva hi kevalam. What does that mean? Yes, simply waste of time. Simply if you're thinking, I am this body, and my only business is to satisfy the senses of the body, not only my body, but who else's bodies? Yes. Yes, and relatives. Yes, as well as sons and grandsons. And then he says these are going on under different names. What kind of names is he talking about that these type of identifications are going on? Yes, he mentioned one particular ism. Yes, socialism. Very good. Expanded bodily concept. Then he talks about some animal which is thinking the same way. Yes, the cat. And a mouse anywhere. Yes. And then the dog, of course. He's thinking like that too. And if a human being also thinks like that, then what's the difference? Yes. You may be very proud that I am discharging my duties very faithfully. But here Bhagavatam says, what does it say? If you don't do something, you don't develop your Krishna consciousness, shrama eva kevalam. Simply a waste of time. That is the verdict. So he said, then our Krishna consciousness movement is simply trying to do something. What is that? Yes. To educate them that don't do something. Yes, don't waste your time. Just try to awaken your dormant Krishna consciousness. Then so many problems will be solved. What kind of problems will be solved? Does he mention here? Very broad categories. No. Economic, social, political, all human society will be solved. And it is practical. And then he mentioned about selling books. What did he say about selling books? He's glad to inform us that not less than so many rupees are being collected daily. How many rupees? 50,000 daily. 50,000 rupees daily. And he mentioned about a letter he had gotten. Where did he get that letter from? And what did they want? What did he answer? To the question of how many books? Oh, he didn't answer. That's why he didn't hear. He got a letter from Jayapur. And what did they want? Yeah, well, his guidance. They wanted his guidance. So he said, the guidance is not very difficult, very simple thing. First, you try to become what? Sinless. Very good, sinless. And what's the process for that? 4 things? No. Yes. No illicit sex, no intoxication, no eating, no gambling. Yes, and chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra as far as possible, at least 16 rounds. Then see how your life changes. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hari Bol.